And we are live. How we all feeling, chat? How we feeling, chat? Yeah, just comment down below how we're feeling. The stream's gonna start soon. I just need to double check the how it's going. Today we're going to be talking about Sinners, not you. The movie. The movie. But first of all, I just need to make sure that we're actually live. We're actually doing this. We're getting sound. Yeah, looks like that's what we got. And then let me play some music for us. Hold up a second. Let's play the gaming music. Can't really tell how what the volume's like, but I think here is good. Let me know what's good. I'm just gonna quickly review it. But obviously, skip ahead to when you see me actually in the mission. Perfect. So pretty much Sinners, okay? I'm gonna split this into three parts. We got the setup part, which is everything happens in the beginning of the movie, and then what I call the pre-setup part, the crux of what actually kind of does the what kind of sets everything up for the movie. And then what I call the climax, which is my favorite part of the movie. And the climax lasts about like maybe an hour and a half or something like that, which is pretty good. I quite like that part, which is what was good about the movie. So let's just start off with a quick overview of the movie. So pretty much the movie can be summarized with a quote that we heard in the trailer. I don't know if you've not seen the trailer or not, but it's pretty much saying that like if you dance with the devil, that you'll bring the devil home. Just give me a second while I double check the audio again, okay? Because I want the stream to have perfect audio. And then we'll continue on.
Tenno, prepare for life support.
Okay, let's put this back. Let's just start talking a little bit and see what we got. Okay, I think we're good. I think all the sound is great. We're chilling. We're very chilling.
I've delivered a life support capsule to the area. Activating it will buy you more time.
No, we're chilling. Let me still reduce this volume a little bit. There we go. Just skip ahead. If you're watching the replay of this, just skip ahead because this is going to be honestly one of the thinners that you actually come across. So yeah. Okay, cool. I already told you that we split this up into 3 different sections: the beginning part, the pre-climax part, the climax part. Each of those parts are very important for the setup. Someone did say that they felt like it was a bit rushed, but I felt like each of the parts were necessary. And if you're gonna have no matter what type of movie you're gonna have, it's probably gonna be around the at least like an hour mark, and you can't really do too much in an hour. So you need to really set things up and do what you need to be doing. And for a horror movie like this, having it a bit longer, it's not gonna do too well. So I think the timing of the movie was quite perfect in my opinion. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. So like I said, you can summarize the movie by saying, if you dance with the devil, you're going to take him home, or something like that. However, which made me think, okay, so obviously they're going to do some summoning of bad guys or demons, something like that. That's what's going to be the that's what's going to be the main point of this. But that's not really what happens, and we're going to get into what happens right now. The movie begins with Sammy, our main guy, coming into a church, and then he's all scratched up, scarred up, and we're wondering, okay, what's happening? What's happening? Why is he all beat up? Why is he all bruised? Who did this to him? And then the father welcomes him, tells him to drop the guitar down, and that made me think for a second. Okay, music is like a bad thing inside of this, kind of, based off of what that poem said about you can split the veil between life and death and past, present, and future. That's another point that we're going to come across later on in the movie, in this review. So that's kind of how it starts, and then we have a flashback to the previous day, and then we see Smoke and Stack, the Stack twins, the Stack Smoke twins, the twins, Michael B. Jordan, doing this thing, buying a place, a mill from a Klansman. Not that in real life Michael B. Jordan be doing that type of stuff. Is obviously he's just acting here, as we see him in Black Panther and Creed. He's not really like that. He'd be having his own life, doing things. In case you didn't know, so he buys the mill from the Klansman, and then they kind of talk about the price a little bit, if they actually got the money for it, and then the Smokestack twins didn't want to be disrespected. You know, they kind of showed off that they got money, showed off that they got a gun, all that type of good stuff. So
The raid is off to a successful start.
so then they also ask about, like, okay, why is there like stains and stuff inside of this place, which is very important later on. And we see that the guy just brushes it off and says, it's nothing, and then they still buy the place and move on. This is where Sammy gets involved, and all this preamble is all what I'm calling the pre-start, the preamble part.
Ready for a capsule.
Yeah. I'm gonna go through it as fast as I can, touching all the normal aspects of it, and then we move on. So they get Sammy. Sammy's dad is like, "Where you going? Are you gonna be making music for people with dancing with their sweaty bodies all over the place. Is that what your plan is to do? Why don't you just stay here with me? And Sammy's like, nah, I got this. I'm just gonna be chilling with my cousins. I'm gonna be back soon. That type of vibe. So yeah, that's kind of what happens. He goes with the cousins. They find a snake in the van, and I'm thinking, what is the symbolism of this? Why did they put that there? But my thing is that it probably means a bad omen, because as we know, because you've watched the movie, as you know, some bad stuff happens. Almost like I remember watching Get Out or Us, stuff like that. There's always like a bad omen about like, okay, maybe this shouldn't be happening. And they did discuss that maybe they should actually just do it next week. But they wanted to get their money's worth, do what they needed to do, and just kind of sort things out. So that's exactly what they did. One of them decides to go into the city with Sammy. The other one decides that he wants to go get some food, someone to make them food, and that was kind of what they split up at. We didn't really know where it was going at first, okay, but we know he went to see to go get some food, and was with his baby mama, and the baby died, unfortunately. Very sad, yeah, that's something that happened. And I'm not going to get into the details of any of those scenes right now. But what I do want to mention is that while they were in the city, some people tried to jack Stack's van, and it kind of shows that whole thing when they're in the city shows how notorious the Smokestack twins are, because when the guy came into the city, I asked a little girl, a very young girl, probably no older than 15, she knew who they were, and she said, yeah, she knew who they were. Everyone knows who they were, which means that for someone that young to know to understand the notoriety that they had, tells me that, okay, there's some notoriety that they have. How'd they get there? This question is not really answered in the movie, but I assume it's probably because they were military, or they come from that place, or they were very mischievous when they were younger and growing up and stuff like that. That's my assumption. But we don't know, and that question isn't answered. This scene also taught us about bargaining as well, which is I quite liked about that, how they were bargaining with a girl. It taught her how to not always be going with the first price. That was I like that. Okay, that's why I'm mentioning that. You might find that part boring, but I do find the very first part of the movie boring, and I'm trying my best to make it not boring. Okay, so yeah, that was just how it was. We discussed the bargaining, and then the people that tried to jack the car, he shot both of them. Said that you ain't gonna be someone who almost robbed the twins, and that just tells you more about their notoriety, about like the type of name they're trying to keep for themselves and everything like that. So it's it's something we gotta keep abreast of. So we'll move into the cinematography later on, okay? So another part is we also introduced to Mary as well, and also the married lady. I'm just gonna call her the married lady, and also the drunkard guy. Three I won't say important characters, but three characters, okay? And also the baby mama woman, who's I'm gonna be calling a witch for the rest of this review. So all like characters. They're all characters. I wouldn't say important characters, but they're all characters that helped move the story forward. But they're not as in my opinion, they're not as cool as Sammy and the Smokestack twins, and I'm sure you guys would agree. I'm sure you guys would agree to that. So, all that is done, and we move on to what I call the pre-climax, the whatever you want to call it. Okay, so the preamble. When this is where we see, this is where we see that. This is where we see the vampire coming in for the first time. He's in the sun, he's running away, and then they're all just like, okay, do we let this guy in? What's happening? Where do we go? And he's begging to be let in. He doesn't obviously just come in, and it all kind of seems normal. I kind of believe the guy, but at the same time, I've seen the memes online, and I know that there's something more than meets the eyes, and this is all about old timey-wimey vampires that need permission to come inside. But I wasn't too sure. The Indians come along and they're like, hope you didn't let that guy come in, and then they just leave for some reason. I don't know why. I was watching it in French, so some of the subtitles that I had was not. I didn't have the subtitles, so I'm just going to assume that they had an Indian dinner to go to on that specific time, and then that's what they had to do. So the Indians had an Indian dinner to go to, and that's why they abandoned the lady and her people and her husband. So that then brings us to the climax part, which is the Duke. So I'm just going to blame everything on Mary. Mary shouldn't have been there. She knew she shouldn't have been there. She was in love with Stack, but still, she shouldn't have been there. Everyone knew that. Because of that, when the vampires came through, they were thinking, okay, why is she in there? And then that kind of opened the door for when they needed some money to. Obviously, we know we're in the Jim Crow era. I'm still going to call it a little bit of slavery, neo-slavery, because if you're only getting paid enough to eat and to board, you're basically still a slave. So that's kind of why it's still neo-slavery.
Support capsule is now available.
You understand? Hope you understand. Yeah. So they send Mary out to go get some money from these people to know if they're assassinating some money. The reason they do that is because they are unsure. Not that they're unsure. They wanted to get some. They wanted to actually get some real money in the books, because a lot of the people, because of the slavery era times that they're in, were not getting paid too well, and they didn't really have any real money to actually spend money on the drinks and all that type of stuff. So, okay, weird noise. Didn't have any money to spend on the drinks and that type of stuff, so they're just like, okay, let's see what these white folk have. Mary goes there and then sees that, wow, they actually have gold. But immediately she discovers that them bitches start drooling, and then and she's like, oh no, hell no, oh hell no, I need to get out of here ASAP. That's what she says. And unfortunately, it was too late for her, and they got her. The guy starts floating. Okay, everybody floats down here. The it guy, he just starts floating, and then we don't see her get got, but we know she got got, because when she went to Cornbread and everything like that, he was just like, hey, you've been coming in and out all the time, why do you need permission? So, but then that's just what happened. That's just what happened. Because once she gets in, she seduces Stack again, and then they be doing the thing, and then she kills him. But now is the perfect time for me to talk about That was the perfect time for me to talk about Sammy. What Sammy was doing with that married lady. I do not support. Okay, she literally said, "Oh, I'm super sweaty down there. I've just been walking or whatever she said." And he still went down there and still did that. I'm like, nah, man, that's not good. That's not good. And someone you just met, nah, man. Like that's you're not supposed to be doing that. It's supposed to you're not supposed to be doing that. You just meet someone. You can't just be. I know he wanted to try out what his cousins taught him to do, all that type of stuff. But that's just still. Come on. You know. Yeah. Still, I'm not. We don't fully support all that type of stuff. That's why I was like, yeah, he should have. Should have done something else. So back to where we were. The climax. Mary turns our guy Stack into a vampire, and now all we're left with is a dead body, and this is what I like about the witch lady. She was just like, we need to move the body, but unfortunately, she wasn't able to explain what's happening because she didn't know what's happening. So she couldn't really explain. She just knew they need to move the body outside of the house because she had a feeling about what's happening. Just her own gut feeling. That was just her own gut feeling, and it was correct. If they just listened to her, or if she just explained, maybe they would have gotten it. But I'm not going to blame her too hard. Okay, she did what she could, and that's all that she could really be doing. So they failed to get Stack out of the house. For some reason, Mary runs out after she kills. She kills Stack. I don't know why. She could have stayed there and just done a lot more things, done a lot more evil. But for some reason, she decides that she's going to run outside. Same thing that Stack does once they throw garlic water on him, and I have got no idea why. That kind of just makes zero sense. And I'm thinking, why would they do that? Okay, someone can explain to me, but like with me, I'm thinking there's no explanation. They could have just stayed there and attacked everyone and done what they needed to do, but instead they said, I'm gonna head out. Maybe they wanted to join the Irish dance gig. That's probably what happened. I'm gonna say that's what happened. They wanted to join the Irish dancing that they were doing, and that's why they ran out for no reason. So at this point, we see that they ran out. Cornbread tries to come back in, but everyone's already suspecting that guy that he's dead. He's a haint. And then eventually, when he tries to kill our man Michael B. Jordan, they're just like, okay, this guy is definitely not a good guy. And at that point, even before that, the Chinese lady's husband leaves, and we all saw Mary go outside and saw that she died. It was not a good idea to leave the house, but again, they didn't fully know, so I'm not gonna fully blame him. It's just what it is. It's just what it is. Yeah. Just another day in the life. So once that's all that's being done, they discover that okay, these guys can't come in without being let in, and they kind of doing the Irish dancing, the old jigging dancing, doing all the crazy stuff. They're just trying to come inside. I know some of you guys are gonna say, "Hey, boy, you skipped the whole when the when the vampires try to come inside for the very first time and doing all the dancing and trying to show that they're safe and all that type of stuff, and yeah, that's relevant. I'm mentioning it just for you guys, but that's kind of irrelevant. Okay, they wanted to come inside, they weren't let inside, and then Mary, all that type of stuff that I said. If you want to watch it again, hear it again, just rewind it. I mentioned it. Yeah. So that's kind of just the yeah. Either way. Yeah. So where were we? We were. Everyone is trapped inside of. Everyone's trapped inside of the place. They can't leave, and then they all tasting the garlic. Very funny because Sammy was just like, you don't need to make that girl to taste the garlic. You're a mean man. But me, man, every sane person supports what Michael B. Jordan did to that guy, hitting him in the nose, forcing that girl to take the garlic. Everyone took the garlic, and we all knew that the drunkard guy, obviously was going to do well. Yeah, it was obviously he just drank too much. A very obvious predicament. A very, very obvious thing. Now, before I go further, I want to take a quick segue into mentioning that the music that Sammy was playing actually did its job and split the conjoined life and death, past, present, and future. I thought that was going to be a much bigger theme inside of the movie, but it really wasn't. Actually, it just really wasn't. You know, it just wasn't. We all saw it happen, but it wasn't what we thought it was going to be.
Life support has been replenished.
So there we go. That part's mentioned as well. So, but they're all stuck inside and preparing for, not even preparing, just talking to the vampires for no reason. Like, what they should have done is not talk to them and then just literally just, you know, just stayed inside, because just like the drunkard guy was saying, it doesn't look like they're going anywhere. But then the Chinese lady let down all of China and said, hey, guys, come on inside, fam. Excuse me. He said, come on inside, fam. And that's probably because she didn't want them to get a daughter. But like I said, they probably were not going to go anywhere. And even if they were going to get her daughter, and they already got a son, what was the plan? She just wanted to kill everyone there? Because as far as I know, vampires should be stronger than vampires should be stronger than humans. So because once that battle starts, they should have been overrun. They should have been overrun by the vampires, because literally everyone that they had sent out to out of the party basically got turned into a vampire, and there was more of them than there were of everyone else. So I have no idea how they did so well, and it was Sammy lived, but everybody should have died, in my opinion. Everybody. Yeah, everybody should have died, but somehow they're able to win, and we all go on, and then Sammy's able to escape, get back to the church, have a very big, beautiful career, even gets bodyguards and all that type of stuff, and just he does what he needs to do. But this actually adds more questions of why wasn't the vampires, why didn't they win in the first place? You know, why didn't they win? How was they able to do a promise to How was he able to do a promise to one of the vampires to leave Sammy alone? You know, all that type of stuff. That's just not that's just not on. It doesn't make any sense since when do vampires do deals like that and actually leave people alone? So that at that point, that was like the ending is when Sammy becomes famous and then he sees Stack and Mary again and tells them how he's like, had nightmares, and the guy says, "Hey, I was told to we made a promise to leave you alone for all that time, and I kind of kept that promise." Notable moment I want to mention.
Life support has been replenished.
I do want to mention that I do want to mention that what I mentioned earlier on about how the mill was like stained and stuff like that. That's quite important because the Klansmen who said that they weren't going to come back in again. Hold up. Okay, we're back. Okay. The Klansmen who said that they weren't there, that the clan don't even exist. The clan don't even exist, is what they said. Lies. You don't be trusting white supremacists. Don't trust white supremacists. That's the lesson you can learn from the movie: is not to trust a white supremacist guy. Don't be trusting them. Don't be making deals with them. You know, all that type of stuff. It's good words to live by. Yeah, good words to live by. Don't be trusting white supremacists because they'll come and betray you, and they'll use whatever you gave to them as a slaughterhouse and lie to you, just like they did to Michael B. Jordan. So don't let that happen to you, because that's what happened. And but good thing our guy was able to see through that because the vampires told him earlier on, and he was already prepared, and then slaughtered all of the Klansmen in a very good cinematographical scene. That was enjoyable to watch, very satisfying. But he got shot, he died. As soon as he got shot, I was like, he's dead. He's dead. Baby and his baby mama, I was like, this guy's dead. This guy's gone. This guy's gone. Also, let me know if you think I missed anything in the movie. Like I've not touched on any part that's important, because I just feel the most important part really is just that. Okay, that was a glitch. The most important part really is just that heightened climax part. As you can see, there's not this even though this is an ultimate review, we only been going on for like about half an hour ish, and now we're coming into the ending part of lessons we can garner and the rating of the and the rating of the film. So what lessons can we garner from this? Watch out for vampires. Don't be letting random strangers into your house. Racism is bad. What else? Crime don't pay. You know, everyone gets their comeuppance, because as we also saw from the movie, Michael B. Jordan, he stole from the Irish gang and some other gangs and was like, okay, let me try to run away and make a business before these guys find out. And I'm guessing if they didn't die from the vampires, they would have been found out, or they'd have to move out somewhere else. I do find the whole movie sad because it was about slavery and everything like that, which is not good. More like Jim Crow law, and everyone's just like wishing that they can have a better life. And Sammy, boy, he found that better life. I like it, you know. I was quite happy that he did. Yeah, I was very happy that time he found that better life.
Extraction is ready.
And I'm sure we all were happy that we found that better life as well. Now let me talk about more of the good, the bad, and the good and the bad of the movie. So the good of the movie is the fact that it was good writing. The whole premise of the movie, if you zoom out from the movie, it was a good watch. It was an enjoyable watch. That's what made it very very popular. That's why I'm doing this review. That's why you're watching this, because it's a very popular movie, and it was popular because it was had Michael B. Jordan in it, and it had enjoyable. It was just an enjoyable watch. That's it.
Critical life support levels.
It was an
Is your best option.
And what made it an enjoyable watch is that you could suspend a lot of disbelief and take it for what it is, and that would be fine. Yeah, you can suspend a lot of disbelief. Take the movie for what it is, and you'll be fine. You're gonna enjoy it, and it's gonna be a good thing. But obviously, we have to here we look at things a little bit deeper. Yeah. Here we look at things a little bit deeper, which is why, well, you're watching this and we're all chilling here. So that's so good. The writing, the cinematography. One good scene that I liked was how they when the daughter went to call her mom, how they showed what it looked like, and the shots they used. I quite liked that actually. It was good. It showed a good dynamic range of shots being used, and it just made the movie all that more enjoyable to watch. Like I said, the dialogue was great. If you don't scrutinize it too hard, it just flows good from start to end. But obviously, there's some nonsensical parts to it as to like why why some people why the vampires left. And I'm counting that as dialogue because it's like a whole package. But like why the vampires left when they didn't need to have left. Why what other parts? Yeah, things just become nonsensical once you start to involve the vampires inside of it and their own things. Oh, and also her calling in the other people, but it makes sense on an emotional aspect, but some of these actions here just did not make sense. And that's kind of the bad of the movie. So that's why overall, honestly, the movie was good, but it wasn't great. It's not going to be like a Batman Beyond or Inception or Interstellar or Dragon Ball Super Broly or a or Black Panther. It's not going to stand the test of time, and you can mark my words. This is not going to stand the test of time. It's not going to be known like forever and ever. It's just going to be a fading fad, but a good, very very good mark on the cinematography, or whatever you want to call it, of Michael B. Jordan, as adding that to his repertoire. He might win an award for it, but I highly doubt it. Highly doubt it. This is not an award-winning movie. I don't think so. I think there'll be much better movies than that this year. If there isn't, then that's quite it's quite a shame. It's quite a shame if there's not any if there's no other award-winning movies like this year, and this is what actually wins. That's going to be quite funny.
All share in this bounty.
However, I'm not saying the movie's bad. It's just not the best. and that should be quite obvious. But a lot of people really hyped over the movie. It seems to already have some sort of cult following. People watching the movie multiple times really like it, but I don't see it as that. So for that reason, I have to give it a 3 out of 5 stars. Honestly speaking, yeah, 3 out of 5 stars is what I would have to give this. I hope that makes sense to you guys. I've justified why I've given it the rating, everything like that, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next video, next review. But other than that, just if you can feel free to click off, come back on, continue to watch, because I'm gonna end this video in a moment. Yeah, because this is recorded live. Yeah, no news today. No news today. This is recorded live, so yeah, you can feel free to do whatever you need to be doing. Yeah, we're doing it live. But now we're gonna enter the prologue, the after movie. So for all those who are still here, welcome. Where I'm just gonna start rambling about random things that I think about the movie, and you're just gonna listen. You don't have to listen, but we're just here. And there might be nothing here, who knows? But if there's any other things that I can remember about the movie, that's where this is gonna go here. Quickly watching the movie again in my head. Yeah, one thing I want to stress about it is how little the poem in the beginning of the movie actually helped or influenced the movie at all, like the griots, fireflies, whatever. Yeah. Other than that one scene with Sammy, that was a quite useless poem, and it didn't really do anything with for the movie. It just kind of made zero sense. So there's that. We had the liability of the Chinese woman letting the whole of China down, not thinking logically. And someone pointed out that it was ironic that the fire that she started was what caused her own death. The whole thing that she started was what caused her own death. Another important thing I wanted to mention was how the vampire knew the Lord's Prayer. Normally, in movies, obviously the thing doesn't work, but for the fact that they emphasize that there's nothing is going to come out of this for more is it was interesting. It was an interesting addition. Yeah.
The longer you fight, the more successful we will be.
Let's see what else we can come across from this. Um, Jim Crow era, picking cotton. Just sad times, you know. Like when drinking guy said, "Oh, I knew all those men," when they were like, you know, basically in jail or picking cotton or something like that, or whatever. And then it just was sad. Especially, oh, another thing that was there was another point was when they talked about how the white people don't like black people, but they like black culture, you know, and that's kind of just appropriating from black people, like the stuff that they do, and just taking the best parts and that, like they don't really want them. Yeah. I think that's almost done. I think there might be one or two more things left.
Life support activated.
Hmm. Yeah, that's another one, but it's not really safe for work to say it, so I won't say it. But I'll say what it's about. It's about, you know, the clothes on during the activities, and apparently things had to be done quickly because they were in slave times or something.
Life support has been replenished.
Mm. Obviously, I know you guys are still here because you enjoy watching me play this.
The longer you fight, the more successful we will be. life support has been replenished. Life support activated.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean, we can mention that Mary and Stack and Smoke like knew each other since they were like kind of kids, and then there's all that type of stuff that's going on. Stack and Smoke were ex-military. That probably have some trauma from the JAD and stuff like that. You know. But yeah, that's it.
Complete. Excellent work, Tenno.
Until next time.